Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how you folks doing? Welcome here. Welcome to another edition of the UnNamed Wrestling Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
me.
how you
Welcome
folks doing?
here.
Welcome. What's going on over here? I don't know what's happening. There we go. Sorry, I had a loop through my system. Let's try that again. Welcome to the UnNamed Wrestling Podcast. My name's Conman167. We got Botch Guy. We got CWrestling with us here today. Botchy, how you doing, my man?
Just woke up. Doing great.
Yeah, feeling a little tired?
A little bit.
Woke Botch Guy up literally 10 minutes before this thing. All good, buddy. All good. We're excited to have you here today and chat some wrestling. Thank you. I appreciate you joining us. CWrestling, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I've been up for hours, but then it is the evening in the UK, so.
Yeah, you're kind of a few hours ahead of us over there.
Just a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but this was a pretty big week in wrestling, guys. We're going to jump right into this thing because we are a little shorter on time today. So the first things first, it's the big trending topic going around. Last night on NXT, there was a shocking return. Mandy Rose, of all people, is now going to be on the black and gold brand that we care the most about. Botch Guy, did you get around to seeing this happen last night?
No. So I did see the second half of that part. So I did see Mandy Rose I don't think it's that shocking, really. like it's Mandy Rose, right? Like no offense, but like I'm not exactly like the highest on Mandy Rose. I think she's fine, but like I don't know. I wasn't like marking out or anything on it, but I'll like it is interesting. I guess she's going to be doing something with Saray, I guess, right?
Yeah, for the most part, right off the start, and maybe something with Frankie Monet as well, by the looks of it. CWrestling, were you shocked to see Mandy Rose there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Raw was taped, but she was literally on Raw the night before. So to have her then just randomly show up on NXT, like what?
Right? Just out of nowhere, Mandy Rose just appears. It's a wild Mandy Rose, and. Botch Guy, it was definitely a little on the shocking side of things because of what CWrestling said there with her being on Monday Night Raw just the night before, being pre-taped and all that. But what was really cool about this whole thing with Mandy Rose is when she showed up looking a little bit like Trish Stratus. And if we remember back to a few years ago, she was being called the next Trish Stratus. People were definitely high on her a few years ago. So, Botch Guy, do you think she could ever get to that level? Do you think this might be a renaissance of her career going back to NXT?
No.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest Mandy Rose fan. I think she's fine. I think she's definitely good enough to be on the main roster. I just don't think she's at that level of the upper talents in the company. I don't think she's going to reach there quite yet. I'm not a hater of Mandy Rose or anything. I just think there's better options out there. I do think it's good for her to do something different. Going back on NXT and doing some different stuff for sure. But I don't know. Embrace the lucha is all I gotta say about that.
Embrace the lucha. How about you embrace Mandy Rose, you jerk butt? CWrestling, do you embrace Mandy Rose in this possible new direction here?
Yeah, definitely. I think I disagree with Botch Guy. I think this is the step to make her the new Trish Stratus.
I agree.
And before you say anything, Botchy, that's exactly what people said about Trish back in the 90s. When she was managing Test and Albert, she was just the model. No one liked her. And then she became one of the best of all time. So
yeah, sometimes, you just have to make a connection with the crowd, and I think Mandy Rose has connected with the crowd over the last year and a half. If you think back to her story with Otis, her story with Sonya Deville, all of that was running really well up until that crazy man did that stuff with Sonya and all that, right? Like, that was just insane, and that derailed their entire storyline and everything they had going on. So I think Mandy Rose can definitely get back up to that level. She definitely has the look. She's got the ability. Let's see if she can put it all together. But in my opinion, I think this is a great addition to NXT. Mandy Rose, was kind of just floundering there with Dana Brooke. Maybe they were starting to build towards a tag team title run, but that would be the most of it. But in exchange for Mandy Rose going to NXT, there is a slightly shocking, I guess you could say. I wasn't expecting to see this name, but Aaliyah being called up to Monday Night Raw. Botch Guy, do you have any takes on Aaliyah? She's been in NXT since she was 19 years old.
Aaliyah had a breakout moment in wrestling. Good for her. I'm really happy for her. She's been in the company for a long time. She's went through like 176,000 gimmicks and now and entrances, songs, especially songs. I don't know how many songs she's went through, but she's finally had that moment. The crowd absolutely popped. she's 19 years old.
No, she's been with NXT since she was 19. So since like 2013 or something like that.
How old is she now?
Let me take a quick little Google here.
26.
26? Okay, there you go.
So she's been working for this for a while, and you could tell like the evolution of her. Not just like there's a reason why they stuck with her for so long. Because she's good. Like she's probably very nice backstage too, and she's obviously hard worker, or else they wouldn't keep her around. So she's gotten better every year, and I think like if you want to talk about people to potentially be future stars in the company, or at least like the female stars in the company when it comes to like you talk about Trish Stratus and Mandy Rose, I would put more money on Aaliyah than I would put on Mandy Rose, to be completely honest. I think Aaliyah is a much better option. I think she has more to gain than Mandy. I think Mandy's more established right now, but I like Aaliyah. I think she's great.
Good old Canadian kid from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Love to see the Canadians representing Monday Night Raw once she gets up there. So I wish nothing but the best for her. CWrestling, are you a fan of Aaliyah?
I am, but I am on the skeptical side of, is she ready for the main roster? Because I think every time they've started to try and push her in NXT, they've just given up, and you haven't really seen exactly what she can do. I think she's impressed somebody, and we heard reports the other week of Vince being at the Performance Center, so it's probably Vince, it's probably that team that was there. And it's very interesting that they're going to call her straight up, and I'm interested to see what she does, but I think it's sink or swim time now. If she fails, it might be curtain call time.
Yeah, it's definitely sink or swim time for her because, again, we go back to, I want to say 2013. She was on the Breaking Ground series. Like, that's how long ago she's been in the WWE. And watching her progress, it's been a slow burn. She's been surpassed by many other people who have come through the business, and younger people that have come through the business as well who have surpassed her. So it is sink or swim time for Aaliyah on the main roster, but the babyface pop that she got on NXT when she turned on Robert Stone, I think signals that people are willing to give her a chance at this point, and there couldn't be a better time to call her up. She just split from Robert Stone brand, and now the world is her oyster on the main roster. I think she's going to do well. I don't think she's going to do well immediately. I think give her a couple years to figure out her character, similar to Liv Morgan, before she really starts seeing her star start to shine. But let's transition here because we have approached the end of a very unique period in wrestling. Throughout the last year, no live fans in attendance. We went from the actual Performance Center to the Thunderdome, and we've seen a lot of things happen. So over the next about 20-25 minutes here, let's go back, Botch Guy and CWrestling. We are going to revisit some of our favorite moments throughout the Thunderdome, talk about what we liked, talk about what we didn't like, live chat if you wish to chime in on anything that you liked or didn't like as well. And then after that, we're going to talk about the live fans coming back. So Botch Guy, putting you on the spot over here, did you have some moments that you really enjoyed? What did you like about the Thunderdome?
Well, let's go to the Performance Center era. So first of all, Performance Center era, Randy Orton trash talking outside the ring during a match, cutting promos during matches because you can actually hear everything.
This is the greatest show.
Like, it was so good. Randy Orton was just so good at the Performance Center era. And then when you move to the Thunderdome, the greatest match of all time was maybe not the greatest match of all time, but Edge versus Randy Orton. That match was just that match was ridiculous. That was one of the most hype marked out matches I've seen in a long time. When he used the rock bottom and everything, it was so good. So I would probably go with that as my favorite moment in the Thunderdome. Stone Cold Steve Austin, kicking what's his name? What's his name? In the balls, kicked him in the balls.
Oh goodness, that's right at the start. Byron Saxton, that's right. Yeah,
stunned him. That was pretty funny. Like there were some good moments in the Thunderdome. Like I don't think the Thunderdome era was that bad when it comes to the wrestling or maybe the storytelling as much as a lot of people might think. But I will say that like the not having a crowd, it didn't feel very organic for a lot of the things they did. So I would probably go with that. The TVs, the technology, I thought was pretty cool, man. Like what they did. Remember what they did when Retribution came out and how they put Retribution on the back.
Oh yeah, Retribution.
That was probably the best thing about Retribution. And then obviously the Fiend stuff, right? So yeah, they had some pretty cool moments for sure.
No doubt about it. Some very cool moments. They were forced to think outside of the box at times. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to take away from the Thunderdome / Performance Center era,
The Zombies match,
of course, is how I don't think there was a pay-per-view that missed. Like, legitimately, there was not a bad pay-per-view. There was always something that we could talk about throughout the Performance Center era / Thunderdome era. I think the only one that people might say was really rough, that was really divisive, was the horror show at Extreme Rules. Because we had Elimination Chamber 2019 be the final one before the pandemic, and WrestleMania was really well received. Money in the Bank was well received, and so forth from there. So, CWrestling, did you have some pay-per-views that you really enjoyed? What was that caught your eye throughout the past, let's say, 12 months?
I think TLC for me was probably one of the favorite ones, and I think the Fiend being set on fire. I think the whole rise of the supernatural stuff and the stuff they was able to get away with doing the Thunderdome, I think that was really class. I love that. You're never going to see that on TV again. Maybe backstage sort of thing, but it's sort of not the same. In the middle of the ring, they burnt a man alive, and I know it's not real, and I get that, but it's still fun. And the eye for an eye match and everything, those kind of stuff can never be done in front of a live audience.
That Inferno match is the coolest Inferno match to date. I don't care what anybody says. That was just so cool, seeing the Fiend literally walking on fire. Botch Guy, did you have some pay-per-views that jumped out to you? Because I saw you're kind of shaking your head there, saying there was maybe some bad pay-per-views. So, like, which ones did you really enjoy? And we'll get into the negative in just a little bit.
No, I was shaking my head because I just saw the Vancouver Canucks new affiliate jerseys, and they're super ugly. So that's why I was shaking my head. I will say this though: the Inferno match. Because I was thinking about what was my favorite match about this era, and I'm not just talking about Thunderdome, but I'm Performance Center as well. And it was so tight between the Edge Randy one and then the Inferno match. And the only reason I went with Edge and thing is just, I don't know, it was more of an actual wrestling match, but that Inferno match it's going to go down as the greatest Inferno match of all time. And it's going to go down as one of the best gimmick matches of all time. People will always remember that. I don't know one wrestling fan that watched it will not, even 20 years, 25 years from now, is probably going to be like, remember that Inferno match when Bray Wyatt or the Fiend was like literally walking on fire and then he got blown up? Like, that was cool, right?
It was really cool. It was that, what? That's a great way to put it, Botch Guy. It was cool, right? And when we watched that, we've got something different that we'd never seen before, and we just all walked away saying it is cool. And that was one thing with the Performance Center / Thunderdome that we got. We got some cool moments. And when the entire world shut down, we were very lucky to still get wrestling. Like, we could have very well been without wrestling for the whole last year. They could have just shut down operations and said, see you guys in a little bit. We're not going to lose money. We're not going to bleed this thing. Like, we're just going to take a little break here, figure out our stories, and come back in a strong way. They could have done that, but they didn't. So we're really grateful that we got wrestling and we got some cool moments. But it wasn't all positive. It was not all great. There were some rough moments. We mentioned the zombies a little bit earlier, which we know was a little divisive amongst the community. There's been obviously other moments. So, CWrestling, let's start with you. What moments throughout the Thunderdome Performance Center era did you not like?
One word: rematches. I am so sick of freaking rematches.
That's it. All right. That is one word that you did. You gave us the warning. One word.
I'll do one word. Zombies.
Zombies for Botch Guy. For me, it was the lack of the crowd. That's it. And I think that's where we have to draw the line, where a lot of people are saying this. We're talking about the positive, right? There's a lot of positive, but at the end of the day, wrestling lost its biggest thing. Its crowd, its live reactions, seeing
Roman
the
Reigns?
faces. Roman Reigns. We'll talk about Roman as well in a hot moment because we have not even mentioned him yet. But seeing the faces of the crowd, the angry Miz girl, the Brock Lesnar guy, the sign guy, whatever. You don't get that with the Thunderdome. And sure, you might see some faces. Who knows? You might see Adam Pacitti off in the corner somewhere. But you're not actually getting the real people there. And I can't wait for this upcoming Friday where we finally get live crowds coming back. I've missed seeing beach balls. I've missed seeing the wave. I've missed the hostile takeovers. I've missed fans getting characters over organically. You know, you see the stuff happening in AEW with Fuego del Sol and how the fans are starting to get him over organically. I miss that with wrestling. So I just can't wait to get back to live crowds again. Botch Guy, with live crowds coming back, what are you excited for? What would you like to see with these live crowds again?
Did you catch that videos? Oh my God, man. Do you know how great it's going to be when I start doing this type of stuff with crowds now? I can actually show some of the funny stuff that's happening in the crowd. Hopefully YouTube allows it for me anyway. Right. But yeah, that's going to be great. Honestly, man, wrestling is so heavily crowd-based by organic reactions and just the organicness of the show, the feeling. Like, it's not a coincidence why the ratings were okay at the beginning of the Thunderdome era and then plummeted down to the face of the earth. And it's because people got, it was the same pattern. There was no organic nature to everything because everything had to have been, pre-piped in audio and all that type of stuff. There wasn't any sort of real connection with the fans, except for when they did stuff like Roman Reigns, because he was so good that he transcended the whole Thunderdome part of it. So that just having that organicness, seeing who they like, seeing who they dislike, the surprises with the crowd, the chants, the reactions, Conman trying to fix his mics and all that type of stuff. Like, I think that's going to be good. And, I'm really looking forward to having a crowd back. I'm not looking forward having to work Friday with the first crowd being back. And I'm going to cry because I'm going to try to get off work early so I can actually do videos on it. But other than that, it's going to be great.
The hardworking man over there. It sucks that you got to work, but
guy.
You know what? I'm happy that you got your job back. It's good to see the world is starting to open up again. Yes. You mentioned Roman Reigns right there. So CWrestling, I'm going to pass this over to you because Roman Reigns returned at SummerSlam was this during the Thunderdome era or was it just at the end of the Performance Center era? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
No, it's either right at the very end of it or right at the start of the Thunderdome, something like that. But it's all mixed together right towards that summertime era. And Roman Reigns returning really kick-started WWE's next line of stories. That's when it's truly started taking off. Would you say Roman Reigns was the MVP of the Thunderdome era?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the Thunderdome really allowed him to do it because if he was in front of fans after taking the title from The Fiend and all that stuff, they'd have probably just booed him out the building. They wouldn't have let him cut that promo. They wouldn't have let him get over, and do what he needed to do. I say as well, like the Performance Center saved Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. I think Seth's Messiah gimmick when the fans were there was awful and people hated it. When he did that thing where he stood on a podium and he was preaching to the audience for the AOP and Murphy, they booed him out the building.
That's true.
It was such a bad gimmick. And then the second they went to the Performance Center and the fans were gone, you allowed Seth Rollins a bit of freedom and he ran with it and it got over.
He became Daddy Drip.
The lack of fans helped those kind of characters, ironically. And I think it's going to be interesting what happens when the fans return.
I would agree with that. It also opened up I believe you mentioned this earlier, the style of promos. It opened up a completely different way that they can cut promos. And I noticed something on NXT last night when I want to say it was when Joe and Cross were staring face to face at the very end. Yeah, that's what it was. You couldn't hear the promo between them because the crowd was so loud, and it made you want to hear what they were saying. So I kind of hope WWE figures out a way to still bring those style of promos where they're staring face to face and you can hear everything that they're saying, but it's not with a microphone in their hand. It just gives it another sense of realism. Botch Guy, would you agree with Roman Reigns being the MVP of the Performance Center / Thunderdome era?
That's no-brainer. That's easiest decision ever. Roman Reigns, he's one of those guys that he's so transitioned at how people feel about him that, I'm gonna get roasted for this on Twitter, I'm sure. He's gonna go down as probably the greatest WWE superstar of all time, maybe even ahead of John Cena by the time his career is over. He's not there yet. I do think he's gonna get there. I know ahead of guys like Ric Flair, ahead of guys like The Rock, Stone Cold, and John Cena. I truly believe it. I think he's reached a whole nother penalty. I think he is the WWE. I truly believe if he left the WWE right now, that the ratings would lose 50% of their audience. I'm not even exaggerating. I truly believe that. So you guys can rip me off the face of the earth now for that comment, but that's what I believe in. I do believe it's going to happen. Not
Definitely a bold statement. Definitely a bold statement. I'm not a future or fortune teller, so I can't say whether that'll happen or not. He's got a long way to go to top John Cena. John Cena, what he has done for this business is second to none. So he's got a long way to go. Not impossible for sure, but we will see if that ends up happening in the future. Certainly going to go down, I would say top 5 for sure. CWrestling.
Quick question.
Yep,
how old is Roman now?
30. Roman. He is 36 years old. So he's got probably about another 4 to 6 years ahead of him of prime stuff. And then he's going to reach that legend territory where he's got to start putting some other people over.
Okay, maybe second best.
Yeah.
I was younger.
I will say,
I
think the problem with Roman is he needs someone to go against. Ultimately, you have Cena, but Cena had Orton. Mm-hmm. You had Stone Cold, who had The Rock. Yeah. You had Hogan, who had Andre. Those big names had someone that they could bounce off of and use that person to elevate them. Yeah. Roman hasn't got anyone in his league. There's no one near Roman.
And it should be Drew. Like, if we're being honest, the last 6 months have kind of devalued what Drew is in the eyes of the fans, but it should be Drew, right? His over push towards the WWE Championship is what has caused the fans to sour on him a little bit. Right now, what he's doing with Jinder Mahal is more than fine. Going into Money in the Bank, more than fine, as long as he doesn't win it, right? As soon as they start shoving him down everybody's throats, that's when people are not going to accept him as that number 2 guy. Going over to SmackDown to go up against Reigns might be in his best interest.
You know, that's actually a very good point. Probably the best point, like, I've heard by far, because the fact that you have guys who have pushed each other and make more competitive with each other. It's such a big part in wrestling, especially when you're trying to build superstars. Who's that yin to the yang? Who's that guy who's gonna elevate that person? Like, and let's not underrate, I think, the not hate for Drew McIntyre, but the people are turning on Drew. Mm-hmm. I did a community poll question. They usually get around 3,500 votes, like on average. I did mine. I literally said, is Drew McIntyre getting over pushed? Are you guys kind of whatever? I had over 10,000 people vote.
What did they end up voting for?
Majority of them said yes, he's over pushed. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy, because if I made that poll literally just, I would say 4 months prior, it would be flipped upside down completely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're right. The over push for Drew McIntyre it's what's causing fans to turn on McIntyre, and it's not his fault, because he's literally doing everything that he can, right? He's trying to get a sword over, he's trying to get stories over, he's trying to make himself feel like a giant star up against Jinder Mahal, while he's trying to establish Jinder Mahal at the same time. Like, he's doing everything that he can. It just the booking kind of rubbed people the wrong way. I want to say when he had that next match against Bobby Lashley, that was their last straw. People were like, okay, we can't keep seeing Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. We need something new. So hopefully Drew McIntyre will find his magic again in front of the crowd. I believe Botch Guy, a couple weeks ago, did you suggest turning Drew McIntyre heel? Yes? Okay, so we've been hearing some rumors of him possibly bringing back his Broken Dreams theme song. That feels very much like a heel theme song as well. Would that be the right calls? Are you still behind that idea, Botch Guy, turning him heel on Raw, or did you want to move to SmackDown and turn heel? Like, what were your thoughts there?
Okay, well, I'll say this. If he's going to bring back Broken Dreams, the crowd's going to pop for that. That's not going to be a heel song. It sounds like a heel
sounds
song,
like a theme. Like, yeah, I see.
But
you're right.
Like, yeah. You can bet your ass if he does that, people are going to mark out like crazy, and all of a sudden people are going to love Drew McIntyre again. Seriously, I know it's crazy to think that an entrance song can make such a big difference, but I've been saying this for, God, since I was a sperm. I'm telling you. I've been telling you, entrance songs, unless you are absolutely the biggest thing ever, like a Ronda Rousey, who has a terrible, in my opinion, entrance song. If you're a person like that and you get a good entrance song, it completely elevates your career. Have you guys heard like Karrion Kross come out without his like crazy ass effects and
Yeah.
everything. He looked
It
like
don't work.
it didn't work. He looked like a jobber almost. Like it was so bad compared to his
What a line! Since I was a sperm, like what the
I'm
frick?
telling you, entrance music makes so big of an importance. I would say having a proper gimmick. Oh, this is another controversial statement. Here we go.
Oh,
I would say proper entrance song with a very great gimmick with good mic work is more important than the actual wrestling of a character.
Yeah, I agree.
Ah, welcome, baby.
To a point.
CWrestling.
To a point.
On Team Botch Guy.
I get what you're saying. Initial presentation is everything, right? You have to nail the initial presentation. Once that character gets over, it really doesn't matter what you do with them, with their entrance and all that. You can change everything up about it. So initial presentation, definitely. After that, it's all on the character. How do they work on the microphone? How do they produce in the ring? How do they get their character over with the fans, right? Their entrance and their theme music is just a portion of getting over. So they got to nail the presentation right from the start. After that, it's all on the character, right? If they're a shit wrestler, they're not going to get anywhere. But yeah, continuing off with that one there, guys, some more stuff with the Thunderdome Performance Center era. Let's go all the way back to near the start of it when Becky Lynch was the Raw Women's Champion and there was Money in the Bank that Asuka won. One of the most shocking moments was when Asuka opened up that Money in the Bank briefcase to see that the Raw Women's title was inside of it. Becky Lynch revealing to the world that she was pregnant, leaving us for the next little bit, and Asuka became the Raw Women's Champion. Asuka proceeded to hold down the women's division for a long time, to the point that people, again, grew tired of seeing Asuka on top, and they were calling for a change. Botch Guy, early on in this pandemic, was Asuka the MVP until Roman Reigns came back, would you say?
Yes, she was, because of how they pushed her and people were getting behind her. People are gonna just rip me. They're gonna rip me today because I like if I want to think about, okay, no, we're talking about the female division now. So yeah, I'll say yes. Okay, yes.
All right. That was the most long-winded yes I've ever heard.
I personally would go with Bayley, but I guess Asuka.
Until like Roman Reigns came back at like the SummerSlam time, Bayley had a good run as well, no doubt about that. CWrestling, your thoughts with that one, Asuka, or do you have somebody else in mind for the MVP before, let's say, that SummerSlam time?
I would go with Bayley. I think what Bayley, Sasha, Alexa, and Nikki was doing on SmackDown was really good.
All right, fair points.
Bayley. Can I say
great.
something quickly? So, Money in the Bank, Asuka is going to win Money in the Bank
this year,
and she's gonna win. And Monday Night Raw, she's gonna come out, and Becky Lynch is gonna return, and she's gonna challenge her for her own title right back. There you go. Spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler. That's what's gonna happen. Money in the Bank. Telling you, it's gonna happen. Asuka versus Becky Lynch rematch, SummerSlam.
Do we want to make a bet over there?
Very dirty. I'm not happy with that.
You're very happy with that. You will mark out. I know you will mark out
at all.
You will mark out on your video. It'll be 2 minutes and 47 seconds long.
Yes.
I got a better one
Becky
for you
Lynch.
guys.
Yes.
All right, I got a better one for you guys. So we're talking about the last and final spot in Money in the Bank now. Who's going to possibly enter that one if people are not following along with how we got to there? But I think Sonya Deville is going to take that final spot and screw Liv Morgan out of winning Money in the Bank. I think Liv is going to have her hands on that briefcase, and Sonya is going to screw her out of it. Similar to how Brock Lesnar screwed Ali out of the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's my call right there.
So Sonya is definitely the last person. I know a lot of people want Becky Lynch to be this last person. I keep hearing about it. Oh, something's gonna happen on SmackDown. It's gonna be Becky or the last spot. No, it's gonna be Sonya. It's definitely gonna be Sonya. And it makes no sense to have any of these big returns happen this SmackDown. That's why I don't know what they're gonna do on this SmackDown. What are they gonna do about the SmackDown? I don't mean the transition. I'm saving this for a little bit later in the conversation, but I am curious what they're gonna do. But you're spot on. going to screw Liv Morgan. It makes perfect sense. CWrestling is going to be crying somewhere in the corner of his room. That's going to be entertaining. So we should definitely record that. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hey, see?
They can't. They got to have Liv win. There's no other option. Liv to win.
Live to win. You just now like CWrestling really like. Let me ask you that: if that happened, where Sonya Deville did cost Liv Morgan the Money in the Bank briefcase, what would your reaction be? Like, will you hate Sonya Deville being a giant Liv Morgan fan?
Yeah, but that's exactly what they want.
Good.
So
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. I wasn't sure what side of the fence you'd be sitting on with that one.
Just a point of how Liv Morgan's got over. So WWE superstars are back on Cameo. And Liv Morgan was obviously one of those. They sell 10 cameos each. Liv's were $300 each, and she sold out in an hour.
Wow, good for her. She made bank.
Yeah.
And last little thing that I think we're going to talk here before letting you guys plug away your stuff is for Botch Guy. You mentioned like what are they going to do for this upcoming Friday? Well, it looks like they're building possibly to the Mysterios and Edge versus Roman Reigns and Usos, which would be a massive 6-man tag team match. And it also sounds like Sasha Banks is going to be returning this Friday. So those two things I think are going to be big enough things to make SmackDown feel like a big show this Friday leading into a pay-per-view. And then who knows, like after that, I bet you we're going to get some really cool returns, some debuts, something like that. But
Sasha's good. I won't cry if I miss Sasha Banks returning. I've seen her return 100 times already. So like that would be okay with me. That would be fine.
Fair enough. But I'm going to pass this over to you guys now. You got some stuff going on over on your channels. So Botch Guy, what do you got going on? What do you have coming up? Fill the people in here.
I have now made a schedule for at least one of my live streams after amazing plug by Conman167 on his stream. I did notice that and I did appreciate that. I'm going to be doing NXT on 3 o'clock on a Tuesday PST. Every single 3 o'clock Tuesday PST before NXT, I'm going to be doing a 2-hour stream now. So usually I do in 1-hour streams. Now I'm going to be doing 2-hour streams before, and I'm going to literally be rating Conman immediately as soon as we finish. We're going to be going straight from the Botch Guy and we're going to go straight to the Conman, and then Conman's going to have his little fun time on NXT.
Fun time.
And it's not like we collaborated this. It just actually, I thought it was a pretty cool idea it's just a continued way for all our channels to kind of support each other. Mm-hmm. And also I have Tuesday off. It makes a lot of sense for me. So that's my live stream thing. Sound
like me trying to speak English.
Yeah, I'm Brace Lucha. Other than that, I'll say this: my Twitter, I'm loving Twitter. I've been starting to use it a lot more. Actually, what I'm doing now is a lot of short clips on Twitter, and then putting them into my Did You Catch That? So I'm actually hitting 2 boxes, and I'm going to start putting those also now on TikTok. So I'm going to actually try to hit 3 different boxes, all with the short clips. And because my last Did You Catch That? It wasn't the craziest view, or it did good, like just under 10K. It's probably going to hit 10K. But man, like the reaction was so positive. So I'm definitely going to continue that. So other than that, it's just my normal videos, crowds coming back. So expect a lot more content and more lovely stuff with all 3 of us.
There you guys go. Just to summarize, streams on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then watch out for Botch Guy's Did You Catch That videos. CWrestling, what do you have coming up?
Hopefully a lot of videos. Hopefully if The Fiend returns, a lot more videos. Just videos on the shows really coming up.
You got any streams coming up?
Funhouse Friday after SmackDown this week.
All right. What time is that? Right after SmackDown or about an hour after?
About 10 minutes after SmackDown.
Okay, cool. About 10 minutes after SmackDown. So, guys, you know what to do. Subscribe to The Botch Guy. Subscribe to CWrestling. Their links are down in the description below. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a shorter episode here today. We are going to be jumping straight into the Monday Night War watch-along. We are watching Monday Nitro from July 29th. Right after this. Yes, after this,
guys. Don't go anywhere.
The stream will automatically redirect you and all that. So we're going to be jumping right over there, guys. Don't you worry. We got Monday Night Wars watching along here on this channel coming right up. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Make sure you leave that like on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to all 3 of our channels. And until next week, I've been Con. He's Botch Guy. He's CWrestling.
Damian Priest is the best.
And Damian Priest is the best, yes. And FTL. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week.